What is good to all my draft legends? Welcome to the Big Splash. Here we highlight the biggest, the baddest players of week 1. So if you haven't yet, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at Draft Legends. Anyways, so for the preseason, didn't we call Lamar Jackson? Oh yes, we did. If you picked him up, yo, shout out to you. Y'all saw some big chunk of money. So obviously the first big splash will be Lamar Jackson. He proved to everyone that he can obviously throw. He did 17 out of 20, 324 yards with 5 touchdowns. Yes, 5 touchdowns, 56-10, scoring him 36 with 56 fantasy points. Up next we have Dak Prescott. You know, he did 25 out of 32 completion rate, 405 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also had 4 rushing attempts for 12 yards, ranking up 36 with 40 fantasy points. Really expecting some high volume on this guy lately. Next up we have the one and only Patrick Mahomes. This is the obvious play, but he managed to get 30 with 32 fantasy points with 3 touchdowns, 378 yards. Kansas City take it 40-26. Patrick Mahomes, he might be a little wounded, but I'm still rooting for him. Next up on the big splash, Matthew Stafford with 27 out of 45, 385 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not a really big quarterback against the Cardinals, but yet he managed to get 31 with 60 fantasy points, so look out for him. Next up we have the sleeper Case Keenum. I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to be slipping on him in the season, but Case Keenum, 380 yards with 3 freaking touchdowns, 30 with 20 total fantasy points, especially his salary. It's just crazy not playing him. Well, up next we have the wide receiver, yes, Sammy Watkins. This guy was explosive. He probably burned down so many lineups. I know he burned down so many of my lineups. You know, he did 198 with 3 freaking touchdowns. Especially you will see him have more workload with Hills out for like 4 weeks. So up next, let's move up. We're moving up pretty quickly. Deshaun Jackson with 154 yards and 10 targets, 2 touchdowns, 38 with 40 fantasy points. Deshaun Jackson with 4,500 salary, scoring 32-27. Pretty affordable wide receiver. Up next we have John Ross III with 158 yards, 12 targets and 2 touchdowns. Total fantasy points 37 with 80. Wow, for only 3,900. What a steal. Up next we have Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown. This guy, he made a huge impact. Probably his ownership went up 50%. He did 2 touchdowns, 33 with 70 fantasy points, blowing out the Miami Dolphins. It was either the Dolphins is a really crappy team or they're just good. Up next we have for the New England, probably the best wide receiver right now. Well, I don't know if Antonio Brown it's gonna change, but this guy, he did two touchdowns with 25 and 50 total fantasy points. I'm looking for him to pick him again and score me big money. Christian McCaffrey, you know, a lot of people are gonna be up on his D tomorrow, but I just don't see a running back scoring twice huge workload. You know, he's obviously wounded from this game. He had a huge workload, and I won't be surprised if he gets injured tomorrow. So I'm gonna fade him in the $1 million maker. Up next we have Derrick Henry. This guy, he can run, he can tackle. This dude is a big dude. 1 touch and 28 with 90 total fantasy points, destroying the Cleveland Browns. That was just a hard game, watching all the fans just tearing up. Dalvin Cook with 6,000 salary cap, 2 touchdowns, 111, 21 rushing attempts, which he ranked up a total of 29 total fantasy points. Minnesota blowing out the Falcons 28-12. I'll sure heavily put him in some of my lineups. Next up, Evan Ingram. This guy, this tight end, I don't even know if he's a wide receiver. He looked like a wide receiver against the Dallas Cowboys, this guy, he scored 116 yards with 1 touchdown, a total of 31 with 60 total fantasy points. Definitely picking him up again this week. Mark Andrews, yo, if you do not pair Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews, you are missing out. These two guys score me huge chunk of money. Always, if you're gonna play Lamar Jackson, pair him up with his tight end. Biggest play you'll ever do. Next up, we have Delaney Walker. This guy, last season I picked up Delaney Walker. Everybody was sleeping on him. He actually got me a couple, probably like he boosted my lineup to like 1,000. This guy, he did 2 touchdowns, 55 yards, 22 and 50 fantasy points as a tight end. That's amazing. We're moving up to the DST, the defensive line, the 49ers. A lot of people are sleeping on the 49ers. 27 fantasy points, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 fumble, and 2 touchdowns. That is just crazy. That is crazy talk. Well, we're going to move up real quick. The Titans. Yo, these Titans, 5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 safety, and 1 touchdown. 43-13, blowing out the Cleveland Browns. That was just a hard game to watch. Everybody was expecting the Browns to do better, but Texans just took over. Might have been their defense, obviously. Next up, we have the Jets with 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recovery, 1 safety, and 1 touchdown. Unfortunately, they lost this game, but the defense looked pretty great. It was just on the offense side. They have to work out some new plays with Le'Veon on the field, but I will pick them definitely. Alrighty, so hope you enjoy me breaking down a 2-hour video into just 7 minutes. It's crazy stuff, but honestly, if you did not watch week 1 of NFL, just by watching this video, you did not miss out on anything. What separates us from our competitors is that we break down 2 to 3 hour video into just 7 minutes, just into a few minutes. You know, we know here on Draft Legends that we all have jobs. This is some side hustle. You just say, bring me my money, and we got you here. So if you would like to leave a comment, you know, probably you had some few big splash from your lineups that we're sleeping on, and just let's build this community up. Always follow me on Instagram at Draft Legends, and always shoot me a message. I'll be more than welcome to answer them. But as always, stay green, my friends.